This meeting of the Livingston Parish School Board will now come to order. Ms. Tina, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Shar.
Here.
Mr. Seals.
Here.
Mr. Frizell.
Here.
Mr. Brad Harris.
Here.
Mr. Cecil Harris.
Here.
Mr. Cox.
Here.
Ms. Cochran. Dr. McMorris.
Here.
Mr. Link.
Here. Mr. Chafin, do we have any public comments tonight?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item number 2, approval of the minutes of the school board meeting held on February 6th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, there being no corrections, do we have a motion and second to approve the February 6th minutes? Mr. Brad Harris makes a motion. Dr. McMorris seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Item number 3, authority to advertise or renew child nutrition bids. 3A, I think is what we're doing. Authority to advertise bids for the following product categories: disposable products, fresh produce, ice cream products, milk and milk products, and purchased food. Supervisor of Child Nutrition Programs, Ms. Summer Purvis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Purvis and members of the board. On behalf of the Child Nutrition Department, we are requesting authority to advertise for the items and product categories that are listed for the 2025-26 school year. And those items include disposables, produce, ice cream, milk and milk products, and purchased foods.
Do we have any discussion about ice cream and milk products and so forth? Okay. All right then. Do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent authority to advertise bids for disposable products, fresh produce, ice cream products, milk and milk products, and purchased foods? I think Dr. McMorris just made a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Brad Harris makes the second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion's carried. Item 3B, authority to renew branded pizza. Supervisor of Child Nutrition Programs, Summer Purvis.
On behalf of the Child Nutrition Department, we are requesting approval to renew a prior year bid for branded pizza products for the 2025-26 school year.
Any questions about the pizzas? All right, do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent the authority to renew branded pizza? Mr. Jeff Cox makes a motion. Mr. Seals seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion is carried. Ms. Purvis.
Thank you all.
All right, item number 4. Authority to advertise the following. Authority to advertise bid 2505, fuel for Livingston Parish Public Schools fuel stations.
Mr. Link, Mr. Purvis, members of the board, I would like to request the authority to advertise for the fuel for our fuel stations across the parish.
All right, any questions about the fuel? All right, do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent authority to advertise bid 2505, fuel for LPPS fuel stations? Ms. Cochran makes a motion. Mr. Jeff Cox seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion's carried. Subsection B, authority to advertise bid 2510, food service equipment for Doyle High ProStart Kitchen.
I would also like to request the authority to advertise for the ProStart equipment. This will be the kitchen equipment for the newly remodeled ProStart kitchen at Doyle High School.
Sure y'all excited about that, Mr. Brand. That's a good thing. Do we have well, first off, do we have any questions on the ProStart kitchen? No questions. Do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent authority to advertise bid 2510 food service equipment for Doyle High ProStart kitchen? Mr. Brad Sharp, I think, is going to make a motion, and Ms. Cochran makes a second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Subsection C, authority to advertise bid 2511, custodial supplies for warehouse stock.
I would also like authority to advertise for our custodial supplies for warehouse stock. These are the items we keep in stock that we deliver to schools as needed.
Okay, any discussion on the warehouse stock? There being none, do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent authority to advertise bid 2511, custodial supplies for warehouse stock? Mr. Jeff Purcell makes a motion. Mr. Cecil Harris seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. And subsection D, authority to advertise bid 2512 food service disposables for warehouse stock.
As with the custodial supplies, these are the food service disposable items that we keep in our warehouse for our stock products to distribute to our schools. I would like to request the board's permission for authority to advertise.
Okay, do we have any discussion about the disposables? There being no discussion, do we have a motion and second to grant the superintendent the authority to advertise bid 2512 food service disposables for warehouse stock? Mr. Brad Sharp makes a motion, Mr. Jeff Cox seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion is carried. Subsection E, authority to advertise bid 2513 weight room equipment for Denham Springs High School.
I'm requesting authority to advertise. This will be a proposal for weight room equipment for Denham Springs High School field house.
All right, do we have any discussion on the weight room stuff? Okay, do we have a motion second to grant the superintendent authority to advertise bid 2513 weight room equipment for Denham Springs High School? Mr. Brad Harris makes a motion, Mr. Jeff Frizzell seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. All right, and I think we go to item number 5 here, if I'm not mistaken. Ratify RFQ 2502 trash collection.
Mr. Link, Mr. Purvis, members of the board, I would like to recommend a 2-year contract with Waste Management. With this contract, I would also like the option of an additional 2 one-year extensions under the same terms. We received quotes on January 28th. Quotes were requested from 4 vendors. Waste Management was the vendor that came in with the lowest cost option.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any discussion on the trash collection for the schools?
I know Donald is here from Waste Management, if anybody has any comment, I'm sure there is none, but just in case. I had forwarded y'all the stuff that he sent me a couple weeks ago on like all the economical impact they've had on the system, so.
Guys, I just want to say thank y'all for putting in that quote, and thank y'all for the service that y'all provide for us. I know we're a large entity, and y'all do a great job with that, so we do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, that being said, do we have a motion and second to ratify RFQ 2502 trash collection? Ms. Cockerham makes a motion, Mr. Jeff Cox seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Item number 6, discussion and action on renewal of administrators' performance-based contracts effective July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2028. Any discussion on this? Do we have a motion and second on the renewal of administrators' performance-based contracts effective July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2028? Mr. Bob Seals makes a motion. Mr. Jeff Cox seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? And there are none. That motion is carried. Item number 7, discussion and action on the superintendent's recommendation for assistant principal contract at Denham Springs High School.
Right. Mr. Link, members of the board, I recommend the approval of a performance-based contract for Alyssa Farmer, assistant principal at Denham Springs High School, effective February 11th, 2025 through June 30th of 2027. Alyssa is currently a temporary person in that position at this time, and we are recommending a performance-based contract.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Is there any discussion on Ms. Alyssa's contract? Denham people, y'all happy? All right, do we have a motion second on the superintendent's recommendation of the assistant principal contract at Denham Springs High School? Mr. Jeff Frizzell makes a motion. Mr. Cecil Harris seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion is carried. Item number 8, discussion and action on the report of the Budget Goals Committee meeting that we held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Mr. Jeff Cox, chairperson.
The Budget Goals Committee met at the Livingston Parish School Board office on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 at 4 o'clock. Voting members present was myself, Mr. Seals, Mr. Frizell, and Mr. Link. Non-voting members, Mr. Superintendent Purvis, Assistant Superintendent Chapin, Assistant Superintendent Ms. McBride. Absent voting members, none. Absent non-voting members, Mr. Sharp, Mr. Bradley Harris, Mr. Cecil Harris, Ms. Cockerham, and Dr. McMorris. I call the meeting to order. The report on audit of the general purpose financial statements for the Livingston Parish School Board for the year end June the 30th, 2024. Members of the committee and the board received a copy of the report on the audit of the general purpose financial statements for the Livingston Parish School Board for the year ended June the 30th, 2024. Tiffany Dorset of Eisner-Amper LLP presented a summary of the reports and answered questions posed by the committee. Audit results for the year ended June 30th, 2024, Livingston Parish School Board. Report to those charged with governance. Our responsibility under the U.S. General Accepted Auditing Standards. Compliance with all ethics requirements regarding independent and planned scope, timing of the audit. Materiality in the context of an audit. Qualitative aspects of significant accounting practices. Significant accounting policies, unusual transactions. Significant accounting estimates, financial statement disclosures, corrected and uncorrected misstatements, other required communications, financial highlights, governmental activities net position, change in governmental net position, fund balance, all governmental funds, change in fund balance, all governmental funds, communication of internal control related matters, communication of other matters, management letter, restriction. After discussion, a motion was made and duly seconded to accept the report on audit of the general purpose financial statements for the Livingston Parish School Board for the year ended June the 30th, 2024. Motion by Mr. Frizell, second by Mr. Link, unanimously approved. Motion was carried to present to the board for approval. 3, discussion and action on the 24-25 budget revision. Assistant Business Manager Ashley Amy presented and answered questions on the 2024-2025 budget revisions as follows. General Fund, second sales tax, 7 meal maintenance fund 2, sinking fund, construction fund, school food service fund, disaster fund, federal funds, state funds. After discussion, a motion was made and duly seconded to adopt the 24-25 budget revision. Motion was made by Mr. Seals, seconded by Mr. Link, unanimously approved. Motion carried to present to the full board for approval. Motion was made to adjourn and seconded. Motion was made by Mr. Seal, motion seconded by Mr. Link. Unanimously approved. There being no further business before the committee, the meeting adjourned at 4:41 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Do we have any discussion on the Budget and Goals Committee that we held on the 18th? There being no discussion, do we have a motion and second to accept the report of the Budget and Goals Committee meeting held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025? Mr. Jeff Cox makes a motion, Mr. Bob Seal second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion's carried. Item number 9, discussion and action on the report of the Curriculum Policy Committee meeting held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Chairperson, Mr. Frizell.
The Curriculum Policy Committee meeting of the Livingston Parish School Board was held Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, immediately following the Budget and Goals Committee meeting. Attendees were myself, Mr. Jeff Cox, Mr. Steve Link. Non-voting members, Mr. Robert Seals, Mr. Jody Purvis, Mr. Bruce Chapin, Ms. Tracy McRae. Absent voting members were Mr. Cecil Harris, Ms. Caitlin Cochran. Absent non-voting members, Mr. Brad Sharp, Mr. Bradley Harris, Dr. Ronald McMorris. I call the order to order for the curriculum policy meeting at 4:44, immediately following the Budget and Goals Committee. And Caitlin Cochran and Mr. Cecil Harris absent, Jeff Cox, an ex officio member of the committee, served at an ad hoc capacity. Assistant Superintendent Bruce Chapin presented 9 policies with an explanation of each policy. Policy BCBB, the notification of school board meetings. Policy BCBJ, broadcasting and taping of school board meetings. Policy CBD, employment of superintendent. Policy GAK, personnel records. Policy GAMK, use of pronouns and given names. Policy GBC, recruitment. Policy IDBA, sex education. Policy IDDF, education of students with exceptionalities. And policy JGC, student health services. After discussion, a motion was made and duly seconded to adopt the Livingston Parish Schools policies. The motion was made by Mr. Jeff Cox, seconded by Mr. Link, and unanimously was approved. Motion carried to present to the full board for approval. Motion was made and duly seconded to adjourn the committee meeting. Motion was made by Mr. Link, seconded by Mr. Cox, and unanimously approved. There being no further business before the committee, the meeting adjourned at 4:53.
Thank you, Mr. Frizell. Do we have any discussion on this curriculum policy meeting that was held on Tuesday, February 18th? There being no discussion, do we have a motion and second to accept the report on the curriculum policy committee meeting held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025? Mr. Cecil Harris makes a motion. Dr. McMorris makes a second. And all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion is carried. Item number 10, approval of payment of invoices and district supplements. Any questions about the payment of these? All right, do we have a motion and second to accept the payment of invoices and district supplements? Mr. Brad Sharps makes a motion. Mr. Jeff Cox seconds. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion is carried. Item number 11, superintendent comments. Mr. Purvis.
All right, Mr. Link, members of the board, I just have a few things that I have in your notes section. One is just a reminder that the LSBA convention is in Lake Charles next week, and I think the majority of us will be there. And that's on Tuesday, February 25th through Thursday. And if you have any questions on that, just feel free to reach out and we can assist with that. The next thing is HR 281, the K-12 Education Study Group. And this is just kind of an update. I know we've kind of mentioned a little bit about this before, but this was a study group that was a result of that House resolution in the regular session. It was Representative Bamberg and Representative Wilder, and that legislation required them to form a K-12 educational study group. And basically, that was a study group that was, it was made up of principals, assistant principals of all grade levels, teachers of representation, superintendents from each region. And we met, I was one of the individuals on that task force, and we met, I think we met 4 or 5 times, and it was very specific on the topics that we were to discuss, and it was basically stuff that is burdensome to teachers, the issues as far as testing goes, and a little bit on accountability as well. So I will tell you, I thought it was a great dialogue that we had at each of those meetings. It was great information that the representatives were able to hear. At each meeting, the different groups, so the superintendent group covered the information, the teacher group covered it, and the administrator group covered the topic so that they could hear the perspective from all of the different, from each perspective. And I really felt that people were listening, that the representatives were interested, and that we were gaining some ground there. During the time when we were having meetings, the groups toured several of our systems. They actually went in and saw what was going on in schools. And then during that time as well, they were meeting with DOE as well as with Bessie. And part of the discussion initially when they reached out and was asking us to join them for that study group, their goal was to study these topics, and then a couple pieces of legislation potentially come from that study group, because they wanted to hear and then be able to take some action. So last week, the overall report was given to the Senate Ed Committee, and the members participated and joined in the audience during that, where they was presenting that report. The Senate Ed Committee was very interested. They asked lots of questions, very, very engaged. And so we are, fingers crossed, but we're excited to see what's going to come out of that. But it truly appeared that they were trying to hear what's going on in education. So hopefully we're going to see some results from that. And so it's been pretty promising so far. The next thing I have there is the legislative breakfast. We're going to host a legislative breakfast here for the board members as well as some of the Livingston delegation. So it'd just be an informal visit with the Livingston delegation. And you had an invite laying here for you, and I have the information on that invite for you. And then, from the student standpoint, this is, as far as athletics go, this is kind of where championship season is starting. Actually, the wrestling state championships was last week, which Livingston was very well represented. Springfield High had a state champion in Division III, Connor Birch, who was actually a state champion, and we had numerous others place in that. But starting tonight, we are moving into the playoffs for girls basketball, as they're getting ready to potentially participate in the playoffs March 3rd through the 8th. So this is just the first round. But tonight we have Denham playing, Albany playing, and Springfield playing. And then on next week, or on Monday, we'll have some other teams that I have listed there that will be playing as well. So we wish all of those teams good luck, and we're excited to see how many of those that will make it out to Hammond to the championship.
Jody, just for Connor Birch, he won the state championship last year as well. It's the first time that Springfield had a wrestling champion.
Yeah.
So,
Very, very good.
Very proud of him for that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, that's all I have, Mr. Link.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Purvis. We look for good luck to all of our teams as they go through the playoffs. Livingston Parish teams always do very, very well in the games, in the playoffs, and we usually have many that go in the end to the state. So we hopefully have that again tonight and in the coming weeks. With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Dr. McMorris makes a motion. Mr. Brad Harris seconds. All in favor, please say yes. Yes. Any opposed? There are none. This